Hello, hello. Good morning, good
Hi.
afternoon, depending on your time zone. It's lovely to see you all. Some very familiar faces. Actually, all familiar faces. Yes, this is exciting. I've seen you all before. I'm not sure about Ainsley. Your name is familiar. I've seen you before,
Yeah. I'm a regular.
but
This
I
is
don't think I
me.
certified you. Did
No.
Kathy certified? Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, Kathy certified you. So, a lot of the other people came through my program at some point, my sessions. Lovely to see you all. We're just going to wait a couple of, well, one more minute. It's just doing my last slide tech check, making sure it works and having backups if it doesn't. I'm excited that you're all joining today. Hey, Steve, nice to see you. Speaking to lovely Marie yesterday. Hope your
Yeah,
session
we had a
went
good
well.
day.
You had a good day?
40 42 bloody people. Big effort.
42?
42. And just to humor for their afternoon exercise, they had to nominate one person from their team. Everybody else had to go outside.
Yeah.
And those four people were put in inflatable suits
Yep.
of animals and leprechauns. Then they had to go outside and run along the Mandurah foreshore. So it was a bit of fun.
Oh, sounds good. Sounds like good fun. Um, well, this would be our first forum of the year. And so, welcome back to 2026. We are nearly in the year of the fire horse next Tuesday. For any of you like myself shedding the previous year with that snake skin, we're looking forward to the year of the horse to get bolting. Um, and today we're going to talk about spotting a whole brain opportunity. I'm just going to set up the chat. I had it there. It disappeared. That's okay, Rachel. Thank you for letting me know. Um, if I pop you into a breakout, Rachel, just decline that and I will talk with you in a one directional way. We do have one breakout today working together. Let me share my slides. Alrighty. Hopefully, give me a thumbs up if you are on camera and you can see my slides there. That's good news. For those who don't know me, if you don't know me, my name is Rosie, and every January I celebrate another year at Herman, and because I started on, I think it was the 10th of January, and this year is number 16. So it's been a while. And if you've been along the journey with me all those 16 years too, there are some of you here who have. They can't seem to get rid of me. And I still absolutely love working with whole brain thinking, the HBDI, and all of you guys. You really do. It's a privilege to be able to work with other like-minded learning professionals, HR professionals, people-orientated individuals. I'd like to also start and just acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which I work, which happen to be the Tuggerah and Yarrabul people. That happens to be in Brisbane. Uh, sorry, pronounced that wrong. My son will be rolling over in laughter. The Turrbal and Yagara people in Brisbane. And I also extend my respects to the First Nations people in your regions as well, if you happen to be in Australia. And if you're in New Zealand, kia ora and welcome. Um, the session today is on spotting a whole brain opportunity, activating the whole brain rollout for maximum impact. And I thought that I had a wonderful session I designed last year with ChatGPT. Full disclosure, Chat and I had some great conversations last year, as did Gemini, and then I couldn't find it. And so today I'm going to, it obviously wasn't very effective, that session. So what I want to do today is teach you what I do when I am looking for that opportunity. And I'm going to share a couple of examples of when it hasn't worked. And then at the end, I'm going to put you into breakouts to have your own discussion about what it could look like for you. You can look in the future at where the opportunity is. You can look reactively in the past as what didn't work, um, whatever you prefer. So let me move on. I need to start by just explaining or re-explaining for those who might not be aware the rollout of whole brain thinking. So last year we spent, in fact, I should go even the year before that. So we're in 2026, 2025 was last year. 2024, I spent a lot of time connecting with a lot of different practitioners, either formally or informally, and asking you about what you were doing, what was working, what was not working, what rollout looked like. And then the organizations or the client groups who were really having great success, I was interviewing them. What are you doing? Why do you enjoy it? What does the pattern look like? And out of that came what we're calling the rollout roadmap. And it actually really nicely related to whole brain thinking, which it wasn't what I was searching for, but as people shared it, it started to correspond to the quadrants. And what we noticed is that when you start to roll this out, sorry, I'm making an assumption that you're using this as more than a one-off. I should preface that. One of my biggest frustrations in life is people who do it once and then, yeah, great, put it in the drawer and don't use it again. It is such a powerful model. I mean, I'm preaching to the converted here. You all know that. But how do we get others to see the absolute power of what they have once they do their profile and learn about whole brain thinking? How do we unlock that? So that was the premise behind it. And the steps involve these 4 phases on my screen: having a strategy, getting started, creating an impact in a business area function, and then embedding it. And so as you move through these stages, you will discover that if one of them is a little bit underdone, then you lose that traction or that ability to really roll this out for maximum impact. One of the beautiful things about HBDI is it's a strategy, and you do the profile and you don't have to go and do it in 3 months again, 6 months again, 9 months again. You can do the profile, and for about 2 years, you're pretty much going to have fairly consistent thinking on average, apart from some caveats like significant life changes and things like that. So you can continuously reuse the profile. But oftentimes we find that people go in, I want self-awareness. And if you've been in a forum of late, you'll hear me say that, awareness and understanding is not the end game. It's the first step of a bigger picture. So I won't go more into these steps right now because there's a lot behind each of them. But I just wanted to point out that if you're here and you're thinking about spotting an opportunity, you're spotting an opportunity to embed whole brain thinking, the HBDI, and the work that you probably do in leadership, in coaching, in projects, in innovation, whatever your other work is, and how you integrate these in a lovely, beautiful, collaborative marriage, a nice relationship together. So how, though, do you spot the whole brain opportunity to unlock the roadmap? If you don't start on the right page, you won't get to the impact you want to get to. So today is really about that first step of saying, well, how do I spot the right opportunity? What does it look like? And how can I position it in a way that is going to get me the maximum impact? So we're going to use whole brain thinking to do it, of course. Spotting a whole brain opportunity. One of the very powerful things about whole brain thinking is that you have these 4 quadrants to organize information and as a map. And in fact, if you have a piece of paper next to you right now, I would suggest having a piece of paper next to you because this is probably more of a personal reflection as I go through the session. Get a piece of paper, fold it in half, and fold a portrait in half and landscape in half, i.e. you have 4 boxes in your paper, i.e. the 4 quadrants. And we're going to work through these 4 quadrants. We're using a think about essentially. If you happen to have the 4 quadrant map that we have, oh, you can't see it. There you go. No, you can't see it. I use this day in, day out. But when I start using the think about, the first critical step is clarifying what goes in the middle of the map. There's no point going through 4 quadrants if you haven't grounded yourself and said, what are we going in 4 quadrants about? And this is such an important step to get right. Because if you don't get it right, all of the thinking around the 4 quadrants starts to crumble away because you haven't got your foundation. So when you use a think about, what goes in the middle of the map, sorry, I should just visually show you, just ignore the other quadrant. What goes in the middle is very important. And today I'm going to share mine, and you can write your own, or you can borrow mine, or you can use mine and take it with you. Before I go through the quadrants to spot a whole brain opportunity, I get very clear on what it is that can be offered. And in whole brain language, we say that whole brain thinking provides a map and common language to help solve business issues, and the HBDI is the vehicle to get the work done. Now, that's my one. It doesn't have to be your one. But let me explain what I mean by that when I say it. Whole brain thinking, we can think of it like the map because it directs us to different quadrants, it stretches us to different ways of thinking. And that's really powerful and really helpful. We need the HBDI to help us navigate to the different quadrants. Like when I, in my 2-2-1-1 preference, stretch to the blue quadrant, and particularly into the technical cluster, which is my lowest cluster, which I've shared before, I recognize that the vehicle of the HBDI makes sense to me. And how do I need to stretch into that technical cluster of blue thinking? Or mathematical is another one. It is a tough stretch for me. But the HBDI tells me that and gives me that insight as to how I'm going to navigate through it. It's not that I can or can't do it, but it's going to help me understand the energy and effort required. So that sentence in the middle is really powerful to start the 4 questions going. And whenever you use a think about, always start with that piece in the middle. Whether it's, you've got a problem to solve, you have to articulate the problem first. The problem is I can't get my kid to school. So the real one this morning. And then I think about it in all 4 quadrants. The problem is I've got conflict amongst team leaders. And then I think about it in all 4 ways. So always put the grounding statement in the middle. And in order to use this today, we're using it to spot the whole brain opportunity. We need to know what whole brain thinking provides: the map, the common language, and as well, the vehicle to get things done. So it's both things. It's not one or the other. When you're trying to work with a whole brain opportunity, you could provide them with a really great map, which is whole brain thinking. You've got a map. Maps are powerful. You use them to navigate. You use them to, figure out where you are in the map. If you don't have the vehicle, how are you going to get from one point to another to have that insight, that self-awareness, shift the dial, change the direction, identify a strategy? So using them together is very powerful. Now, of course, I'm preaching to the converted here because you guys are all practitioners, and in your own way, you have your own understanding of that thing. But what I'd like you to think about is, for you, in your business, in your language, how would you like to phrase the opportunity of whole brain thinking? That's what I'm asking. That's what fits in the middle. In your context, what is the opportunity for whole brain thinking? Because that's the first step. And there could be multiple opportunities. Like the one I've given you is the biggest umbrella one I've got. It's a common language, it's a map, it solves business issues, and the HBDI helps get the work done. That's the biggest one I can get. But you might find a really broad opportunity statement too difficult to cling to. It's too broad, it's too wide. You might need to make it more specific for your context, like whole brain thinking provides a tool for improved collaboration in teams with conflict, something like that. So think about what it is for your context and what it looks like. Once we do that, then we can go around the quadrants, and I'm going to go intentionally in an order today that I find to be helpful and effective. Your own thinking might dictate that you take a different order, and that is okay. I go into the red quadrant, so you'll see my slides now go in order. Because if I know that whole brain thinking provides a common language to help solve business issues and the HBDI is the vehicle to help get that done, I need to know who I want to talk to about that. It's not going to be everyone. As much as I said I've got a challenge with my child going to school, I can't do an HBDI with my child going to school at this point. It's not the right audience. So thinking about who can be served. And there's a really interesting thing about who can be served by this solution. One is who needs it, and do they know they need it? Sometimes you see a need and then the person doesn't recognize the need. So who needs it in your context? Are they ready? How do they get engaged to be ready? Once you can articulate the who and have a think about it, why? But not only why do they need it? You know why they need it. Do they know why they need it? And do they know why they need it now immediately? Because one of the challenges we face is that we work very reactively because issues emerge because situations unfold. We can work in a more proactive way when we preempt the challenges that might emerge in business contexts. So why this and why now? What does it enable? That's the second question. The third question, blue quadrant. So we know who and we know why for them, but what? What is actually going to be achieved by this opportunity? And in this language, it can be what challenges could be addressed, or what opportunities could be unlocked, what issues could be dealt with, or what is the potential. We have to get very clear on that what. Then we move into how. Now, the green quadrant, every time you do a think about, the green quadrant should be it should link you into the model again, to repeat the model over again, which you'll actually see. How does it work? Well, this is where the rollout roadmap comes into play. We create a strategy to address issues because why now is this reason to serve these people. We get started with them. We, engage them. They're going to do a survey. They do the HBDI. They might do Teams. They might do something else. They do other things to improve something in the business. And ultimately, so they go strategy, start, impact. And by embed, what we're trying to get to is that they integrate whole brain thinking themselves as a self-led solution. They take the autonomy to use this each and every day like you are doing. So that's the framework that I go through. And when it works, it's beautiful. And when it doesn't, I'll tell you a story about that. This is, if you've heard, you might have heard this story. My background's in education, and I actually love working with educators and schools and teachers. And this was a science faculty. And I had been brought in because the leader in science had seen the opportunity to use whole brain thinking as a common language to help solve a business issue, being the redesign of the science curriculum. And the HBDI was the first step. So who was it serving? Science teachers, and there was a lot of them. It was a big faculty. So I knew who, and those other questions I probably hadn't asked. I knew why they needed to redesign curriculum. I knew what we were doing whole brain thinking, and then we were coming back for about 8 hours of additional work, and I knew how. So I thought I was set. And when I got into the session, the first thing that happened was the teachers said, I've got to leave early. I can't be here for the full 3 hours. Are we just stereotyping and labeling and boxing people into quadrants here? I don't agree with my profile. And it just continued on from there. And when I share this example because it's a really good example of me being super clear on the who, the why, the what, the how. I had it set. I even knew their profiles. High blue quadrants, slight tilt into the yellow quadrant, not very high preference in the red quadrant. And when I got into the room, I didn't operate in the 4 quadrants. Were they ready to engage? No. Were there other things going on? Yes. Did they think that I was the spy from the leader? They thought I was coming in to spy on them. The leader had put me in there, and there was all this psychological distrust, not psychologically safe at all. So the reason I share this story is when you're trying to spot the whole brain opportunity, you've got to be going around the model again and again and asking the questions over and over again. And these are very powerful questions to ask. So let's now bring it to your real world. I want you to think about, I'm going to quickly go through a couple of slides and then I'm going to put you into a breakout room. And actually, Gabby, how many people we've got? 35. Gabby, can you set up some breakout rooms, just random ones of, while I'm talking through these slides, of about 2 to 3 people in a room. and leave the Herman staff out so they can self-select in a moment. Thank you, Gabby. So back to the red quadrant. Who is being served? We know that whole brain thinking can be universally applied across multiple contexts, multiple audiences, and there's different ways to look at this. You can look at it as in, hierarchy in a business. We're going to focus on the exec team, or we're going to focus on the frontline staff. You can also look at it from the perspective of functions within the business, because different functions have different challenges. So business admin, compliance, customer service, finance, IT, human resource, L&D, marketing, ops. When you're trying to think about who can be served, think about it within a different context, because that impacts the whole journey you go on. Because the way that marketing might apply whole brain thinking could be different to the way that the finance team are going to use and apply it. Yes, it's a common language, we've said that already, but the actual application might be different. So who is a very critical question. Now, this is where Chat and I had a bit of a field day. As you can see, there's 20 things here. Don't stress if you can't read them. I can share these later. I asked ChatGPT after a conversation I had last year with it, a previous conversation about themes and trends emerging in the corporate space. I do say corporate space here, so apologies to those in education. Some of them might be parallel. And I said, what are the challenges that are being faced, and where is the opportunity for whole brain thinking? And this was the 20 top ones that Chat, in my experience, came up with. What I'm going to do is pop up a poll right this second. And if you can't access the poll, or it doesn't appear, I'm just thinking of our lovely Rachel, feel free to type in the chat for me if you prefer. So the 20 opportunity areas that we explored with Chat are listed in the poll. What I'd love you to do is to vote, and I think you can pick multiple. What are they for you in your context? Is there a theme in terms of opportunity and or challenge where you think whole brain thinking could sit? So I am going to give you a couple of, or probably a minute to do that. If you can't access the poll, please feel free to type. Oh, that's good, Rachel. Sometimes it surprises me. All right, I'm waiting for an 80% hit rate. That means about 3 more people if you're thinking, if you haven't voted, but you could be multitasking. That's okay. Let's see if I can get that. That's coming. It's coming. I'm nearly there. Oh, look at you. Smashed it all. Oh, okay. Out of this park. So I always wait for about an 80%. If you're a facilitator, it's just a personal thing. I try and wait for an 80% hit rate, and I try to encourage my groups to keep responding, answering, get more intel. 80% will give me more insight than, say, 20%. It's just personal. I'm up to 89% now, which could be that a couple of our staff haven't voted because they're helping me out behind the scenes. MPoll, share results. Okay, so interesting. A lot of different things are coming up. What is coming up? AI, 32%, disruption, cognitive overload, 48%. That's highest so far. Divided perspective, polarization. I've had a lot of practitioners reach out to me in this first 2 months of the year asking for help with conflict resolution management. So I don't know if that's a theme in your context, but I've had a lot of reach outs about that. Hybrid teams, faster decision making, talent retention and engagement, innovation fatigue, not so much. Leadership complexity, 48, that's up high with the cognitive overload. Psych safety and trust, 68%. We do have a webinar we're running on that next week. It is actually sold out, but just watch this space because we are recording it as well. So you can view that after the fact. Cross-functional silos. Interesting. ESG. Okay, I said chat. What is that? Don't give me acronyms that I don't understand. It means environmental, social, and governance issues in a business. Yes, makes sense. Not something that is high on our agenda. Automation of work, not so much. Change fatigue, 58%, so above the halfway mark. soft skills gap, um, bias, bias of AI. Yeah, no one's picking that up. That's an interesting one, and it could be specific to my conversations with AI. One of the things that I talk with AI about is cognitive bias in our prompting of AI, and how our own prompting creates our own reflection back, and how could we minimize that in certain AI systems. Not all work that way. Strategy, generational workforce mixed, ethical complexity, need for adaptive cultures. Okay, I'll stop sharing that now. The reason that's important is I'm going to talk to you about designing with the end in mind. So if you are trying to spot a whole brain opportunity, it's really about starting with a, a need or something that actually exists in the business, not starting with, look, the team need to get to know each other and we'll get self-awareness. If you start with self-awareness, that's all you'll take from self-awareness. If you start with psychological safety and trust, or how to unlock the complexity of leadership right now, you will get so much more value out of it. You'll discover ways to integrate it, to use it, to apply it, far greater than just let's get to know each other. Let's understand our cognitive diversity. So thinking very broadly, and this is the yellow quadrant in action. Oh, that's all right. I was just checking the chat. When we know who we're talking to, red quadrant, we know the opportunity, we then move into the blue quadrant. What can be impacted? And this quadrant, sorry, I'm just going to have a little sip before I launch into blue thinking. Tea, expend my energy. When we go blue quadrant, I want you to be thinking of numbers and impact from a numerical point of view. Because in HR, L&D, and the functions that we often operate in businesses, we do need to go back and provide the business case, provide the impact, provide the performance of what we do. And this is where the blue quadrant helps us immensely, because what it enables us to do is to link the opportunity to measures and metrics that may exist or may not yet exist. So if we're trying to, and these came from chat, they're not my thinking, definitely not my thinking, and I don't even like some of them, but it's a good starting point to help us think about what do we need to prove in terms of impact. So if it was, I didn't pick any of the top ones, that was a shame of me. If it was around adaptive and change agility, I'm here. Do we need to track time from idea to implementation, number of days? Should we actually look at that if that was an opportunity in our business? What about if we've got engagement and retention issues? Should we go and look at our absenteeism rates? Are we measuring psych safety? And are we tracking that? Is it moving in a positive direction? What are the things that we can track in our business to prove and to validate that the work that we're putting in is actually shifting a dial? Because you'll know that whole brain thinking the HBDI, the instrument doesn't track a change, a shift, an improvement, a performance. It's a preference tool. But it works beautifully with other performance-based metrics out there, 360s. Steeple has a psych safety assessment. There's so many other different assessments out there that really complement the whole brain thinking journey. And so this is what we're looking for here. What are the metrics? What are the measures? Teacher engagement scores, performance issues in LMS, completion rates in learning management systems. Lots of different things we can look at. And then how do we actually pull it all together? How do we pull all that together so we know who needs the opportunity, we know why they need it and why they need it now, we know what needs to happen and what needs to be impacted numerically? What are the steps? What is the process? What is the sequence? And this is where the rollout roadmap comes to life. In the practitioner portal, you are going to find the resources of the rollout roadmap, which the lovely Steph, she already asked. She said, I've got it ready for you. She's going to pop that link in the chat. The rollout roadmap takes you through strategy, getting started, creating impact, and embedding every single one of the steps I've just talked about in the spotting an opportunity. So it's there once you spot the opportunity, because I can't do that for you because you know your context. Once you spot that, then I want to give you the confidence you have all the tools to go and deliver it, how you need to deliver it, in the format you need to deliver it. So you'll see up the top those steps: strategy, start, impact, embed. And then along the roadmap, we have a strategy guidebook for you. We have a slide deck around engaging thinkers. You know, my science group. What I should have done was use that engage deck before I got to the HBDI and whole brain thinking. I need to take a step backwards before I went forwards. And I should have done that in the moment. And I didn't really recognize it in the moment well enough back then. I was so keen to get the work done. I was excited and passionate, but I was not. I was missing clues. So I should have engaged. Engagement is critical to complete the assessment. And I've said this before, if you've been in some forums, you need that engagement so they complete the assessment with the right mindset and the right approach to it. Like, no, I'm not going to do this assessment. Well, let me explain it. Let me explore it. Let's unpack it. Then we get started. Get started is our kind of fundamental flagship program session design. It's fully there. As some a practitioner yesterday said, it's like paint by numbers, isn't it? I said, yes, it is. When you look at the slide deck, it is like paint by numbers, but you're able to adapt it and insert your context and your flair because why? You know the opportunity you're working towards. So the map is there to help you with the core building blocks. What you need to do with that map is to integrate the opportunity throughout the work you're doing. And so Get Started helps you do that. Maximise, oh, sorry, we have another session up the top, enable leaders. It's all good and well doing the work with the whoever you're working with. If leadership above that is not bought in and engaged in taking the thinking agility to stretch, then it can start to crumble away. Enabling leaders is about helping them realize what their teams want, what they prefer, versus what they need. So sometimes what we want and what we need to do are not the same thing, and how the leader needs to model thinking agility to help the team do it. If they're not doing it, why would the team do it? So that's what that's about, that sequence of slides. Maximize Teams is in there. It uses the team profile and the team effectiveness dashboard. Creating Impact is a specific session that addresses the gap of how do I use this each and every day as a problem-solving solution? And so that session is a repetition of this is a problem-solving solution. This is something you can use every day in different contexts. How does it look? What do we need to, how can we use it to help solve business issues? And then all of the business of thinking, there's 8 sessions there that are going to be in the slides of specific application modules. Oh, we need to address communication or decision making or thinking agility. You can look in there and you can incorporate those specific skill-based exercises into your work. And then, like the good blue quadrant thinkers we are, talking to myself here, we go back and we prove the impact that we've had of our initiative. Because step 7 can only be run when you have identified, sorry to jump, when you have identified these. Step 7 is all about proving the impact of your efforts and work. Because you go, look at the dial, how it's shifted. Look at the impact we've had in whatever way that is. Engagement surveys, psych safety scores, absenteeism, more creative ideas, numbers, metrics. So that, and evaluate impact is a session around helping the team recognize the impact they've had, i.e. celebrate success, and also promote the impact, because ultimately in the embed phase, we want our thinkers to use and apply this themselves as a common language to help address different issues and challenges, and to call us in when they need help, of course, but to actually continue to work with this on their own. And so in the embed phase, the last step of the roadmap, that is not sessions designed, that is not workshops, because why? Well, there's some really good consultants in the room who already offer amazing embedded solutions of whole brain thinking, the HBDI, in particular areas, like psych safety, like adaptive leadership, like conflict resolution, and they are embedding. And if you're in corporate land, you can either connect with those consultants or you integrate it into your own existing practices. So the resources at the embed stage are guides for you, the facilitator, guides around how would it look to include whole brain thinking in change management, in learning, in leadership, in onboarding, in sales. What could it look like? And then there's also applications by functions, because sometimes you work with the marketing team and they go through the roadmap and they do, steps 2 and 4 and 3. And then they're like, well, what next? And you go, here is 10 ways, 20 ways for you, marketing team, to go and use and apply this in your context. Off you go. Go to the world. And then they come back and like, oh, we have an issue in communication. It's not working. You go, hang on, let me pull that stuff out for you. Let me run a session. So there's all of the tools needed to implement that opportunity that you've spotted. So back to the opportunity bit. What is the opportunity? What I'm going to do now, when I do this is interesting. When I do breakouts in my forums, the dropout rate goes through the roof. So I am trying to figure out whether you like this or not. It could just be contextual, but if you prefer my talking head, I'll do talking head videos for you guys. If you like the breakouts, we'll continue that. But I'm just in a process of getting feedback on that. So feel free to share with me here, LinkedIn, wherever you like, on what you're finding, because I want this to be effective and useful for you. So we're going to go into breakouts. If breakouts don't work for you, you can hang around with me. What do I want you to do in the breakout? This is hopefully going to be fun. You're going to talk through your whole brain opportunity. What your middle statement was that you think is kind of clarifying or hanging up the offer you provide. And that can be specific to whole brain thinking. Hopefully it is, but it can also be context specific. And then you're going to go, who does it serve? Why this? Why now? What are the issues? And in the how, man, you don't need to talk about the whole roadmap. Let's just go with the first critical steps. Like steps 1, 2, 3 are 1, 2, and 3. Like, let's just start with the first critical steps. Yeah, no worries, Rachel. So what I want to do then is after you've talked about it in your breakout, I want you to take a photo of it. And I want you to post that photo, if you're comfortable, in our LinkedIn group, which I'll give you the link for in a second if you haven't, because the knowledge and experience of this collective group of practitioners is immense. I've met with many of you one-on-one. I've heard the things you're doing, and the things you guys are doing is amazing. It's not just me. I'm the conduit between. What I'd love the LinkedIn group to start to do is to build a community of sharing where you go, hey guys, I've got this opportunity. I've thought these 3 things. Tell me what you think. What's your feedback? What have you got for me? And of course, I will also give feedback in there too, because this is really going to help us grow the community and grow the collective knowledge and intelligence of this amazing group of people. So that's what I'm hoping. LinkedIn is a new group, so if you haven't joined yet, feel free to join. I'll explain those steps after. So I'm doing well with time today. I've talked at you for 40 minutes. That's a long enough talking at. I'm going to pop you into breakouts for 10 minutes. Chat through these 4 quadrants. I will broadcast this slide into the breakout so you can still see it. And then I will get you back into the main room. Gabby, if you want to allocate those breakouts, that would be lovely. Welcome back, everybody. Back zooming through the room. Now, you can still see my slides, hopefully. Okay, so this is the opportunity, and I haven't tried this before. So this is a test. The LinkedIn group is new, but my mission this year, and since you're here at the beginning of the year, is to really create a collaborative and shared community. Yes, I do post a lot. Yes, I will continue to post a lot, but untapped potential in this room around ways to use and apply and integrate whole brain thinking, tips, tricks, facilitation things. It's amazing what is in the room. So hopefully we can untap some of that through our LinkedIn group. So if you want to be a part of it, I think the lovely Steph shared the link to the LinkedIn group, and you can join. So probably this is a good segue into the have you heard? Couple of things are happening at Herman, and so keep a lookout. The LinkedIn group is actually becoming the location where we are where we are communicating new things. Somebody just asked, is LinkedIn replacing Mindshift Mail? No, Mindshift Mail is an email program for thinkers, and it is sent out around the application of whole brain thinking. LinkedIn is replacing Facebook. So we have a Facebook group, and we are moving that group. That Facebook group will be retired in March at some point, and this group will start to replace that group and be a place where we can connect and discuss. So a couple of things. That's the LinkedIn community. Only certified practitioners are invited. So there is a little bit of might be a gap between asking to join and then getting you in. I just check, although a lot of you in the room I know. And keep a lookout with what are we doing in there? We're doing things like resource of the week. I'm sharing older existing recordings and webinars of things that might not have come across your space. We're sharing activities. We're sharing like how to use the activities as well. We've got lots of stuff in the portal, but sometimes a bit of a guide of here's an activity, but how would you do it? What would you use it for? So that is coming more and more throughout the year. We have a conference coming up in Thrive at the end of last year. We ran it in New Zealand and it was a great success. It was Thrive 2025, and we are now repeating it in Sydney in 2026 in March, on the 19th of March. And if you want to get in early and save money per ticket, book before the 17th. It is a conference for practitioners and thinkers. Sorry, thinkers is the language we use to describe leaders, HR, L&D professionals, and consultants. It's a bit of an internal jargon language, and we actually we struggle with it a bit. We don't love it, but when we say thinkers, we mean anyone, not just people who've done the HBDI. Anyone interested out there who's interested in the concept of, growing adaptive cultures and using whole brain thinking, the HBDI. I will be presenting, the lovely Shireen Chua will be presenting, and Gauri from Oz Harvest will be presenting. Michael will also be presenting. The morning is going to be more open to lots of different topics for the broader audience. And the afternoon will be specific for practitioners around developing the skills and strategies and sort of upskilling and applying what we've learned. So that's the conference, the LinkedIn community. As I said, it is coming, it is growing. And something that is brand spanking new since yesterday, our staff probably don't even know yet, is the AI chatbot in the practitioner portal. So our lovely IT manager has been pulling together this AI chatbot, which is trained by me and our materials. So it's kind of creepy. It's like me talking back to me. It's really weird. But it's really good. I mean, it's going to put me out of a job because when you go into that chatbot, you can ask any question and it comes back with the information specific to whole brain thinking, HBDI, the platform, the Herman platform, and our intellect and our IP. So it's very specific to that. So go in there, have some fun. Not all answers are amazing, so give them a thumbs down if you don't like them. I go in there, I retrain it. If there's a question that doesn't come back that's not great, let us know. I'd go and retrain it. But it's proving to be a very useful tool to get quick answers on things like you're in a session, you're like, what's that adjective pair thing mean? Oh, type it in, see what comes up. There were the three new things that I wanted to share. The very last thing that I'm going to share and wrap up today with is a congratulations. Mitty had to leave. She was here, but she had to go. We ran a challenge when we kicked off the LinkedIn group in January, and the challenge was to create a post around whole brain thinking, the HBDI. There were some caveats like, tag us and this and that and the other thing. And then if your post gets the most reactions, you're going to win 5 free HBDIs. And she has won that. So we congratulate her for doing that. And this is another way we're trying to get the conversation out there to help people hear all the amazing things that are happening and the potential that you can unlock with whole brain thinking, the HBDI. We will run that challenge, I think, again sometime in the year. So keep a lookout if you're someone who's a bit competitive and likes to win some free stuff. But that was the challenge for the end of the year. for this year, beginning of the year. Sorry, I'm getting my timelines mixed up. It was like Christmas didn't even happen. Um, the last step, if you are open to it, is taking the photo of your whole brain opportunity, posting it in the LinkedIn group, and then asking for feedback. Like you can ask, can you tell me what do you think about it? What am I missing? Like phrase the question, and let's see if we can get a conversation. Look, even if it's only the 20 of us, it's still going to be powerful and it's going to get the momentum. You know, you only need one stone to create that ripple in a pond, and I've got 30 stones in the room that create ripples. So let's go forth and do that this year. I thank you for your time. I do need to wrap up because I have what they call a hard stop in America. And, you know, a meeting coming up in 2 minutes, another session. But thank you very much for your time. If you need to reach out to me, you've got LinkedIn, you know my email address. If you don't, stalk me on LinkedIn and find my email address. But I can't wait to see these opportunities as they unfold throughout 2026. Yes, I'm in the right year. Thank you for today, and I can't wait to see you next time or at any of our other events.